Jake here for American Muscle, and today I'm taking a look at the Five8 Industries SS Sport Coil-Over Kit fitting 2016 and newer Camaros. Whether it's that low stance, improved handling, or maybe a bit of both that you're after, this kit from Five8 Industries is going to get the job done. It features lots of adjustability and really solid construction, and with the low price, it's going to be an accessible addition to any build. As with any suspension kit, we've got a lot to talk about here, so let's get right to it. Now, the eagle-eyed among you may have already spotted it, but this setup is adjustable, so it's definitely going to lower the stance of your Camaro. So if you want to keep things closer to the stock ride height, you can dial it all the way up, or if you want to absolutely slam it, drop them down. Now, this kit should give you between 1 and 3 inches of lowering front and rear. Just use the included tools, spin the collars right here on the body of the shocks, and you can get these things adjusted to exactly how you want them. Now, these are monotube dampers, both front and rear, and they are going to be stiffer than what you get from the factory. Now, these are monotube dampers, both front and rear, and they are going to be stiffer than what you get from the factory, so expect that going in. You also get new springs front and rear to compensate for that lower ride height. Since you are getting less suspension travel when your car is lowered, things are going to need to be stiffer to compensate. So these are stiffer springs than what you get from the factory as well, but they're not going to ruin the ride of your car. Now, having things be a bit stiffer though means that your handling will be improved dramatically. Since everything is stiffer, you're going to get less body roll, much less side-to-side motions, and that means you have more control over the car. So if you're planning on exploiting the Alpha chassis' cornering prowess, he's going to help you out with that. Now, speaking of which, you might have also picked up on the fact that these have adjustable camber plates installed on the top of the front struts. That adds another layer of adjustability here. Whether you're planning to tackle some twisties or dial in a lower ride height, having the ability to adjust the camber more easily is going to be very helpful in mitigating excess tire wear and also increasing your cornering grip by keeping your tires in contact with the road more often. The kit also comes with everything you need to get this installed, making it a bolt-in setup too, and you've got new spring perches in the rear too. These are also adjustable, much like your front ones, to get that ride height dialed in exactly as you want it. And same deal here with the shocks in the rear too. Now, the bodies of the shocks are 52 millimeters in diameter, and they're made from electroplated carbon steel with a 20 millimeter and 14 millimeter hardened piston rod, front and rear respectively. So it makes for a pretty strong setup. Now, inside of these shocks, you're going to find 44 millimeter high flow CNC machined 6061 aluminum floating pistons, and there's also polyurethane oil seals with multi-thickness valving shims. All that to say, these are not some standard shock. Now, the springs here are also cold wound, and they're SAE 9254, meaning that the metal hasn't been heated and subsequently weakened by that process. And you've got these aluminum collars in the back too. Now, as we discussed earlier, these springs do have higher spring rates, meaning that they are going to be a bit stiffer than your factory springs. You also get new bushings in the bottoms of the rear shocks, and everything comes pre-assembled in the front with those camber plates acting as your new top hats, so you don't have to worry about a spring compressor on there either. Pricing might just be the biggest win here though, as this whole kit is going to run you only about $750. And for a set of adjustable coilovers for these cars, that's about as inexpensive as it gets. And while you don't have adjustable damping here like you do on some more expensive setups, this is still a really solid kit for a street-driven car. It's going to give you a great stance, improve your handling, and it's a great value for your money. Installation is going to get a 3 out of 3 and should take you around 5 hours to complete. Now, there is a lot of stuff to do here, a lot of things to get disassembled and take out. However, since the fronts are coilovers here, you don't need to mess with a spring compressor or anything like that. And everything that you see is going to just bolt right on. Just know that it is going to take you some time, and you're probably going to need to make some adjustments to get the ride height dialed in exactly the way you want it. But with that, let's go ahead and jump on out to the install bay, and we'll show you exactly how to get this one done.
For this install, you will need air and electric impacts, a ratchet, an extension, 10, 13, 14, 15, 18, and 24 millimeter sockets, 15 millimeter swivel socket, 15 and 17 millimeter ratcheting wrenches, a 6 millimeter wrench, 18 and 21 millimeter wrenches, your provided Allen wrench, your provided spanners, a bungee cord, and also not shown here is a pole jack or jack and jack stands. What's up guys, today we're going to be doing some suspension on our Camaro, so let's get started. So our first step is going to be to remove our brake line and ABS line from the bracket that is on the strut itself. So we'll go ahead and grab our 10 mil socket on our ratchet and run this 10 millimeter bolt off. Go ahead and take that out. Make sure that is separated. Then we can go ahead and screw this right back in so we know where it's at. Then we can go ahead and pop this clip off of here for our ABS line. We'll go ahead and grab our clip removal tool and pop that off. Pop that off. Make sure that's free. Next, we can go ahead and remove our sway bar end link from our strut mount. And to do that, we'll grab an 18mm socket and extension on our impact. Go ahead and pop this off. Go ahead and pull that back out of the way. And we'll go ahead and put that nut right back on our end link just so we don't lose track of it. Next, we can go ahead and remove the nuts from our mounting bolts here from our knuckle to our strut. So to do that, we're going to grab our 24mm socket on our impact and a 21mm wrench. Go ahead and run these off. That one out. So you may have to switch out to your air-powered impact, which we're doing right now. Go ahead and get these off. So now we've got the vehicle lowered down a bit, and we've got a floor jack underneath our lower control arm here, right on our lower ball joint. That's just going to help support our lower pieces of our suspension once we release this from the strut mount and everything is kind of swinging on its own. So now we'll go ahead and remove the two bolts holding our knuckle and our strut together. We'll kind of release the tension here. Pop these out. And once you have that out, your knuckle should swing free. Now you want to make sure your brake line and your ABS line don't get caught up on anything. And you don't just want to let this fall right out. Go ahead and grab a bungee cord or something like that so you can hook in through here. And that's just going to prevent everything from swinging too much and putting excess tension on your lower ball joint or your brake line and ABS line. And now our strut is free, so we can go ahead and remove the upper mounting nuts and get this out. So now we can come into our engine bay here to our strut tower and remove the three 13mm bolts holding our factory strut in place. So we'll grab our 13mm socket on our impact and go ahead and loose these up, while at the same time we're going to reach into our wheel well and support our strut so that we can grab it when it comes free. So as you remove your last one, you want to support your strut. And as that one is unbolted, we can now remove our strut from the vehicle. So now to get our strut out, what we're going to do is drop this down enough to get our top hat and top of the strut out of the wheel well. We're going to fish it out this way. Now once you have this out for this side, you can go ahead and repeat the same steps for the other side. So for the rear, we're going to need to remove this lower plastic cover here on our spring bucket / lower control arm in order to access the hardware we need to. So we've got our clip removal tool, and we're going to remove the 4 clips holding this in place first. We can just go ahead and set that aside for now. So now we have a pole jack under our lower control arm. This is going to help support our lower suspension once we remove the components when we need to. So we're going to start with our sway bar end link here. So we're going to remove this bolt using our 15mm swivel socket and extension on our impact. And it may need to put a little bit of tension on your sway bar in order to get this bolt all the way out. Go ahead and pop that out. So next we're going to go ahead and remove our lower shock mounting bolt. So we'll grab our 18mm socket on our impact. Go ahead and get that off. I can use our pole jack to kind of relieve the stress on here so we don't mess up our threads on the way out. Go ahead and pop that out. So next we can go ahead and remove the upper mounting bolt for our shock and get that out of the way. So we'll grab our 15mm ratcheting wrench and go ahead and get that off. Now these fender liners are split from the factory to allow easier access to this. Now if you do find your shock shaft to be spinning, they do make an indent on the top of your shaft, which we'll need to go ahead and use and grab that. Now we've gone ahead and put a 6mm wrench on the top of our shaft here to hold that in place. Go ahead and start loosening this up. Go ahead and remove our mounting nut. Go ahead and drop our shock down. Go ahead and compress it just a little bit. You can easily do this by hand. Go ahead and remove your factory shock. Alrighty guys, now that we have our shock out, it's time to go ahead and get this spring out. So what we're gonna do is we have our pole jack underneath our lower control arm here, and we're gonna remove this outer mounting bolt to our knuckle. So we'll grab our 15mm socket and extension on our impact for the front side here. And then we have a 15mm wrench for the nut directly on the back side. We'll go ahead and run this out. Okay. We'll go ahead and pop that bolt out. Then we can go ahead and lower our pole jack here. That's going to give us the clearance to remove our spring. Pull down on this. Pop our spring out of its perch here. Go ahead and remove that. Pop our isolators out as well. All right, so now we're ready to go in with our new setup. So we'll grab our new coilover, get it in position here. Go ahead and line our mounting points up here. We'll go ahead and install our provided flange nuts. Now it's important to note when installing these, you want your camber adjustments to be facing directly into the middle of the vehicle for a proper adjustment. So now we'll go ahead and grab our 14mm socket on our impact and go ahead and tighten down our mounting nuts. So the first thing we're going to do is lower down our strut mounting point to our knuckle here. And for that, it is as simple as giving it some turns down like this. This is just going to make the install easier. You don't want it to come all the way out, but go ahead and go as low as you can right now. So we're going to show you how to adjust your coilovers here in a minute. Get this to a pretty good spot here. Make sure, again, nothing is being interfered with. And then what we're going to do is use our floor jack to bring our knuckle and all of our lower suspension pieces up to our mounting point for our strut. Now this here coilover setup, you have your bottom locking nut, which is going to lock this mounting point in position. We're going to leave that loose for now just for easier mounting, but we are going to get it close just so when we do mount, we can go ahead and lock this down. So we'll spin that down. And once again, we're going to make sure all our wires and lines aren't going to interfere once we jack this up. So we'll go ahead and do that now. So now we've got it jacked up a bit, enough to seat into our mounting point here. We're going to go ahead and get this set up. Now we've gone and taken our bungee cord off. We're pretty close So now we're gonna keep it in here like this. And again, use the floor jack to go ahead and get this lined up. And once we have it in position, we'll go ahead and reinstall our factory mounting bolts. Needs to go just a tad bit higher. So go ahead and get that one through. Then we'll get our bottom one in and start tightening everything up. So now we'll go ahead and get our bottom mounting bolt in. You may need to persuade this back and forth to get it to go through. And once we have that through, we can go ahead and reinstall our 24mm nuts. So now we can go ahead and grab our 24mm socket on our impact and our 21mm wrench and tighten these back down. And again, you always want to refer to your manufacturer torque spec for all of your hardware. Next, we can go ahead and reinstall our sway bar end link. So this has the same kind of mount as the factory one. Go ahead and get that through. Reinstall our 18mm nut here. And then go ahead and tighten that back down again with our 18mm socket on our impact. So now we can go ahead and grab that 10mm bolt from our factory strut and go ahead and use that as well as our clip here to remount our ABS and brake line. Go ahead and get that installed. Then we'll tighten that back down. Again, we'll use our 10mm socket and our ratchet to go ahead and do that. Now once you have this done for this side, you can go ahead and repeat this process for the other side. So now we can go ahead and install our new lowering spring setup. So we're going to reuse our factory isolator for the top of our spring here, and it does come with a new one that is already in the bottom of your perch side here. So we can go ahead and again pull down on our lower control arm here. Get our spring lined up. Set it on our perch here. Make sure our isolator is sitting properly. We can go ahead and push this back up into place. And kind of capture that with the upper perch. Now we can go ahead and get our mounting bolt back into our lower control arm to our knuckle. Now you may need a small pry bar to kind of help you line this mounting point back up. We have that back through. We can go ahead and reinstall our 15mm nut on the back side. Now we'll go ahead and tighten this back down again with our 15mm socket and extension on our impact. Now we can go ahead and get our new shock mounted in place. Go ahead and get this lined up with our top mount here. Get our provided mounting nut on. Then we can go ahead and get our bottom mounting bolt in position. So now we use our pole jack to bring our suspension up to meet our shock. Now that we have that lined up, we'll go ahead and reinstall our factory mounting bolt. We'll go ahead and tighten that back down with our 18mm socket on our impact. Now we're going to leave our sway bar end link disconnected for now until we get both sides done. Then we can go ahead and do those both at the same time. So now we can go ahead and tighten down our top mounting nut. We're going to use our 17mm ratcheting wrench to do so. Now, if you're having trouble with your mounting shaft spinning, your kit does come with a provided Allen wrench, which you can go ahead and hook into the top of your shock shaft here. Now we're going to make sure it's tightened down until this bottom washer is right on the taper and bottomed out completely. So then once you have everything done in the rear, you can go ahead and reattach your sway bar end links. So we'll grab our factory 15mm bolt. Go ahead and get this lined back up. Get that right back in there. Then we'll go ahead and grab our 15mm swivel socket extension on our impact and go ahead and tighten that back down. And once you have that done for this side, you can go ahead and repeat the same step on the other side. Now we can go ahead and reinstall our lower control arm cover here. Get that back into place. Go ahead and reinstall our clips here. And once you have this back on, you can go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. So now we're going to show you how to adjust this kit, as it is got quite a bit of adjustment to it. So your kit's going to come with 2 of these spanners for your lockout rings. Now you have a bottom lockout ring for your strut base here, and then you have a top lockout ring, and that's going to control your spring stiffness / ride height. So in order to adjust these, we would want to break our lock rings loose. Once you have it on the car, you really don't need to adjust this part, but you will need to adjust your spring. So if we spin it right, that's going to lock into our adjuster ring. So if you want to tighten it up, you would just go ahead and do it like this. And then if you want to adjust, you go ahead and break your lock ring loose, bring that down quite a bit here. And then whether you want the car to be lower and have a stiffer ride or raise it up a bit for a little bit of a softer ride, you would spin your adjuster ring here up to stiffen your spring, and that would in turn lower your ride height because you are compressing your spring at that point. And then if you want to lower it, you would simply turn it the opposite way and bring it down. And that's going to give you more ride height, but also a softer spring rate. So then once you're finished your adjustments, go ahead and bring your lock ring back up. And then hold your adjuster ring with your 1 spanner. Take your smaller spanner and tighten up your lock ring. That's going to set that in place. Now you will want to measure your distance here, and that's kind of going to give you a good gauge to match up your ride heights on both sides. So if you want to take a tape measure or something and match that to both sides, that would be the optimal way to do that, just to get a baseline. Now you may need to adjust this a few times to get your ride height and your ride softness or stiffness just how you want it, but easily accessible. That's how you do it for both sides. Now we'll go ahead and show you how to adjust the rear. So now the rear section of your vehicle comes with your new spring perch here, as well as a new spring. Now this is adjustable as well, and based on how you want the rear to sit, you can adjust your spring rate / ride height kind of the same way. It's easier to show you with the one off the car right now. So your spring is going to sit on your new adjustable perch here, and you have an adjuster ring at the bottom of it. And again, if you were to bring this up, that's going to stiffen your spring and also lower your ride height. If you want to bring it down, you just spin it back down. That's going to soften your spring rate and kind of give you a higher ride height in the rear. So that's going to sit, and this is adjustable in the car, so it's much easier to show you guys when it's out of the vehicle. Your shock is also adjustable too, and that comes with a single lockout ring here. So if you were to want to adjust that, you could bring this through, and this base here just moves up and down based on the travel you want your shock to have. Whether you're doing like a drag racing application or an autocross application, or regular street riding, that's gonna determine where you want your shock to sit as far as the travel goes. And that's simply, you just loosen your lockout ring, and it has these holes here to kind of see where your main shaft for your shock is. And then you can kind of adjust your height from there. Again, easily adjustable, just easier to show you this part off the vehicle for better viewing. And then you want to go ahead and match up both sides to get an equal ride height. Again, same as the front. So this kit also gives you the ability to adjust your front camber to however you want it spec'd. And to do that, you have 4 Allen head bolts here at the top of your top hat for your strut. And you get a provided Allen wrench, and what you would want to do is go ahead and loosen these 4 Allen head bolts and adjust your camber in or out depending on the specifications you want, and then you go ahead and snug those back down. So pretty simple operation. Also highly recommended after you install this kit to go ahead and have a professional alignment done, and then kind of adjust it after that to whatever specific driving style you're going to be doing. Alrighty guys, that about wraps up our review and install of our 5.8 Industries SS Sport Coil-Over kit for your 16 to 23 Camaro. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything Camaro, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.